Do you follow the UFC at all?
I do.
Okay. So I'm going to draw a parallel between you and you probably know who I'm going to say. I'm going to say Nick Diaz, right?
Yep.
And I'm going to play a clip for you now. It lasts about 1 minute, right? And I want to get your opinion and I want to hear your thoughts on this. This is Ronda Rousey talking about Nick Diaz. She was kind of making the argument about when Nick Diaz got suspended for 5 years for cannabis. I'm going to play this for you now, and I want to hear your reaction, right?
Yeah.
Like, in comparison to how unfair it is that Nick got 5 years suspension. I'm sorry, no one asked me anything, but I have to say something. It's so not right for him to be suspended 5 years for marijuana. I'm against for them even testing for weed at all. It's not a performance-enhancing drug. It has nothing to do with athletic competition. It's only tested for political reasons. They say, oh, it's only for your safety to keep you from hurting yourself because you're out there. You know what? Then why don't they test for all of the other things that could possibly hurt us that we could be under the influence of while we're out there? There's no reason for them to be testing for weed. It's in athletics. The beautiful thing about it is it separates everything from politics. It shouldn't be involved at all. And Nick is a really close and dear friend of mine, so of course I'm going to defend him. But I see it's so unfair if one person tests for steroids that could actually really hurt a person, and the other person smokes a plant that makes them happy, and he gets suspended for 5 years. Whereas the guy that could have hurt someone so much that he could have died in there gets a slap on the wrist. It's not fair. It's not fair at all. And you know what? Like, it doesn't make me a bad person for saying it. It just, I can't believe it's not being said more. And yeah, I think they really should free Nick Diaz. But you know what? It's not Dana's decision either. You can't get mad at him. He had nothing to do with it. Yeah, I'm sure if he had the choice, I'm not going to speak for him, and he would have given him a lot less. But you know what? I don't think that marijuana should be part of the conversation at all. I think it's an invasion of privacy for them to test for it, and they have no right.
Powerful, right? That's powerful.
Wow.
I
mean, she made a lot of really, really important points. And to me, what I love about that clip the most is that she's saying something, you know. And I think the reason that cannabis has been persecuted so much is because the people that were actually using it, who had a platform and a voice to say something, were too ashamed or valued their public opinion too much to actually say something. And I think now that we're seeing things change, that's exactly why, because people like me, people like Ronda, they're saying something.
Yeah.
And I think the more of us speak out and like share our experiences, you know, the good and the bad experiences, I think it's going to do a lot to move this, you know, this fight forward.
For sure. And like what she's saying there, she's making the argument about, okay, people using steroids, and particularly in a sport like, let's say, rugby or American football or boxing or MMA, where like, especially in one of the fight sports where you can fucking die in there because like you've got some dude, and we've seen it in the UFC. We've seen guys getting 3-month or 6-month suspensions for using steroids or whatever, and then you're giving Nick Diaz 5 fucking years, which is basically ended his career more or less. Or okay, he's come back and he's fought once since, but that was basically putting a death sentence on his career. That's fucked up.
And it's like she said, it's political. You see something similar in the NFL when, you know, certain players get in trouble for, you know, domestic abuse, you know, they get a slap on the wrist. But if you get popped for cannabis, you know, they put you in a whole program. And so I just think it shows that, especially in, you know, these kind of macho sports like football and in mixed martial arts, that you know, if you're doing something to help you get an edge, right, then you get that. If you're not cheating, you're not trying, you get that little slap on the wrist. But if you're doing something that socially and you're not supposed to do for political reasons, then they throw the book at you. Yeah. And now that the individuals, the people are saying we're not standing for that anymore, you're starting to see things change. And this is the positive side of being political, is that political means group organization. And if people come together and say we're not taking this anymore, I think that's when things really change.
Sure. And let's say when you were getting your suspensions, did you ever know, and I'm obviously not asking you to name names or whatever if there is any, but did you ever know, like, say for instance, where you know somebody's taking performance enhancing drugs and you're there going, hang on a fucking second, like obviously you're not going to say it and you're not going to open your mouth, but like I'd imagine because I know a lot of guys who played professional rugby, and look, we all know it goes on to a certain extent. There's always a few people doing it and whatever, but have you ever come across something like that where you're like, what the fuck?
You know, the truth is, when I got suspended, I mean, obviously it was embarrassing and it didn't feel good, but I didn't feel like a victim. I didn't feel like I shouldn't be getting suspended. I didn't feel like this shouldn't be happening. I mean, now I look back and say it was bullshit, but at the time, I just realized I broke the rules. I mean, my mom taught me well. When I broke the rules, she beat my ass. And so I learned to take it. I broke the rules, I got caught. I just keep it moving. So I never had any kind of like pissed off or about being suspended. I just said, I'm not doing this. There's other things for me to do now. And I took advantage of that opportunity. I mean, studying astrology really has taught me that bad things don't happen to us, right? It's just challenging things. And if we can meet them creatively, then, you know, we go beyond it. And so I really hate that feeling of feeling sorry for myself. And so
Sure.
I just don't do it that much.
You don't do it. Yeah, no,